You know that moment when you realize you've lost someone and simply can't get that person out of your head? Well, that's exactly what's going to happen to her. Picture the scene, her obsessively checking her phone waiting for your response, stalking your social media to see what you're doing, asking mutual friends about you, feeling that tightness in her chest every time she sees you living your life without her. Does it seem like revenge? It's not. It's the natural consequence of a brutal psychological truth that most men ignore. Women only value what they can lose. And when you were always available, always anxious, always orbiting around her like a desperate satellite, you were too predictable, too easy, too conquered. Now you're going to become exactly the opposite of that. The big mistake you probably made was believing that showing constant interest, always being present, and making her your number one priority would be the key to keeping her interested. But reality works in the opposite way. The more you distance yourself emotionally, the more she approaches mentally. The less you seem to need her, the more she feels the need to reconquer your attention. The 8 attitudes you're about to discover aren't about childish games or toxic manipulation. They're about rescuing your own value, rebuilding your masculine identity, and understanding how female attraction really works in practice. You'll learn to create scarcity where there was abundance before, to generate uncertainty where there was predictability, and to awaken in her that primitive desire to chase what seems to be slipping away. And what's most interesting? In the process of applying these strategies, you'll become such a better version of yourself that when she finally comes back begging for a second chance, you might not even be sure if you still want her back. From now on, you'll hear everything the media hides from you, the hidden truth that many fear to speak openly. That's why you should subscribe to the channel immediately, activate the bell, leave your like, and comment which city you're watching from, so the algorithm pushes this video to more men who are blind to the reality we show here. It's no use waking up alone. We need to create a network of conscious and informed men. Now let's get to what really matters. First attitude, read messages and respond only when you want to, never right away. Instant availability is one of the biggest traps men fall into when they're interested in a woman. By responding to messages immediately, you transmit a devastating subliminal message that you have nothing more important happening in your life than waiting for her. This eliminates any sexual tension, any mystery, and any sense of conquest she could feel. When you read and take your time to respond, you're communicating through behavior, which is much more powerful than words, that your life is full of priorities, commitments, and experiences that don't revolve around her. This creates a psychological effect where she begins to question her own importance in your life, and that doubt is the fuel that feeds attraction. The woman who ignored you before suddenly starts checking her phone compulsively, wondering what you're doing that's more important than her. The strategic timing of responses isn't about childish games, but rather about demonstrating real value through concrete actions. When you respond hours after reading, or even the next day, you're showing that you have a structured routine that can't be interrupted by any notification. This creates a brutal contrast with the other men she knows, those who live glued to their phones waiting for a crumb of her attention. Over time, she'll realize that her messages don't have the power she imagined they had over you, and this will completely reverse the dynamic. The human brain values what is scarce and devalues what is always available. By becoming scarce in conversations, you automatically increase your perceived value. She'll start investing more in conversations, asking more elaborate questions, trying to impress you, and eventually, she'll be the one begging for more of your attention, not the other way around. Second attitude, always seem too busy. High-value men don't have time to spare because their lives are filled with projects, ambitions, hobbies, and responsibilities that genuinely matter to them. When you always seem too busy, you're not pretending to be important, you're demonstrating that you really are. The difference between seeming busy and being busy is subtle but critical. The first is a facade that crumbles over time, the second is a reality that sustains itself and attracts. A woman quickly perceives when a man cancels appointments with her not out of disinterest, but because he has other legitimate priorities. This messes with the female ego in a very specific way. Because she's used to being the number one priority of all the men who show interest. When you break this pattern, she can't easily categorize you, and this mental confusion creates magnetic attraction. She begins to wonder, who is this guy who doesn't put me on a pedestal? The dynamic changes completely when you're genuinely involved in building your life. When she invites you to something and you respond that you can't because you have training, an important work project, or a commitment with friends, she realizes there's competition for your attention. And competition generates desire. Women are biologically programmed to want men that others also want, whether other women or your own projects and goals. By always being busy, you create limited windows of opportunity to see her, and this makes each meeting become more valuable and special in her eyes. While other men are immediately available and cancel everything for her, you maintain your structure. This glaring difference makes her start trying to fit into your schedule, completely inverting the game. In the end, she'll value the moments with you infinitely more than she values with those who live at her disposal. Third attitude: be unpredictable, sometimes kind, sometimes cold. Predictability is the silent killer of attraction. When a woman can predict exactly how you'll react, what you'll say, or how you'll behave, interest evaporates because there's no more discovery, no more surprise, no more tension. Unpredictability creates an addictive emotional cycle where she never knows which version of you she'll encounter. One day you're affectionate, attentive, and present. The next, you're distant, focused, and indifferent. This alternation isn't gratuitous cruelty, but rather a dynamic that mirrors human nature itself. Nobody is consistently the same all the time. By being genuinely unpredictable, you're simply not hiding your different emotional states and priorities. When she encounters you on a day when you're more expansive and kind, this becomes special because she knows it's not guaranteed. And when you're more reserved, she becomes intrigued trying to figure out why, investing mental energy in deciphering you. This oscillation between warmth and coldness keeps her brain constantly stimulated. Neuroscience shows that intermittent and unpredictable rewards are much more addictive than consistent rewards. It's the same principle as casinos. You never know when you're going to win, so you keep playing. When you're always kind and predictable, she gets used to it and starts expecting it as standard, ceasing to value it. But when you alternate, each positive moment becomes a victory she conquered, a prize she managed to extract from you. This creates a dynamic where she's constantly trying to win your more attentive version, trying harder, investing more. While other men are like open books, boring and already read, you become a mystery she needs to unravel. And this need to understand, to predict, to conquer your consistency is what will make her obsessed. Checking your status, analyzing every word, every gesture, desperately trying to maintain your attention when she finally receives it. Fourth attitude: treat other women well in front of her, without openly flirting. Nothing awakens female competitive nature more than realizing you're valued by other women. When you treat other women well in front of her, being polite, funny, attentive, but without crossing the line of obvious flirting, you're activating all her mate competition instincts. Women don't want men that nobody else wants. They want men who are desired but chose to be with them. By demonstrating that you know how to interact well with the opposite sex, that you're socially calibrated, and that other women enjoy your company, you automatically increase your value in her eyes. It's not about making her jealous in a childish or disrespectful way, but rather about showing that you're a man that women in general appreciate. This triggers a primitive alarm in her brain. If other women perceive value in him, maybe I'm underestimating this guy. The key is in the subtlety. You're not openly flirting because that would be disrespectful and too transparent. You'd clearly be trying to provoke jealousy. What really works is when you're genuinely pleasant with other women in the same way you would be with anyone, but she notices that these women respond positively to you. When a waitress smiles more than normal, when an acquaintance stops to chat animatedly, when you greet female friends with genuine affection, all of this registers in her mind as social evidence of your value. She begins to see you through other women's eyes and perceives things that were previously invisible. Meanwhile, you remain calm and natural, not seeking female validation but also not rejecting it when it comes naturally. This attitude creates tension where she feels the need to reaffirm that you chose her, that she's special, that she stands out from the others. And the more she realizes you could easily be with others, the more desperate she becomes to ensure you stay with her. Fifth attitude: never show jealousy. Jealousy is the clearest demonstration of insecurity, scarcity, and low value that a man can exhibit. When you show jealousy, you're literally saying, "I don't believe I'm good enough to keep you interested, so I need to control your behavior." This is repulsive on a primitive level because it contradicts all the characteristics that make a man attractive. High-value men don't feel jealous because they know they have options, know their own value, and understand that they can't control others' choices, only their own. When she talks about other guys, posts photos with male friends, or mentions ex-boyfriends, and you remain completely indifferent, you're communicating something powerful. Do whatever you want, I'm not insecure enough to feel threatened. This completely reverses the dynamic because she expected a reaction, expected you to show you care, and your genuine disinterest destabilizes her. The total absence of jealousy forces her to question whether you really care or if you're so confident in your own value that you don't feel threatened by anyone. Both interpretations work in your favor. If she thinks you don't care, she'll start doing more things to capture your attention and provoke some reaction. If she perceives it's pure confidence, your value in her eyes skyrockets because authentic confidence is one of the rarest and most attractive qualities. While all the other men in her life freak out when she mentions a coworker or react when she posts a photo, you simply don't care. You know that if she wants to leave, you can't stop her, and you're not going to waste your time trying either. This attitude of, if you stay, great, if you go, next, is terribly attractive because it demonstrates mental abundance. She realizes you're not going to beg, won't make a scene, won't lower yourself. And this scares her, because it means she can really lose you if she doesn't value what she has. This healthy fear is fundamental to keeping attraction alive. Sixth attitude, have an active life with friends, and show it. A man without friends, without social life, without his own circle is a man who puts all his emotional energy into a single person, and that's suffocating. When you have an active life with friends and show this naturally, without forcing or trying to make her jealous, you demonstrate that you're socially calibrated, valued by other people, and have a life that doesn't depend on her to be complete. Each photo at the barbecue with friends, each story going out to play ball, each weekend plan that doesn't automatically include her is a subtle reminder that your life doesn't revolve around her. This creates a feeling of needing to fit into your life, to be part of this circle, to be included. Women are attracted to men that other men respect and want to be with. When she sees you have solid friendships, that people seek your company, that you're the guy who organizes hangouts, this drastically increases your perceived value. Additionally, having an active social life means you're not available 24/7, you're not sitting at home waiting for her to call you, you don't cancel everything for her. You have social commitments, events, meetings with friends that were already scheduled. This forces her to plan ahead if she wants to see you, to fit into your schedule, to compete with other parts of your life for your attention. When she calls you to hang out and you respond, I can't, I already scheduled a barbecue with friends, this hurts her ego, but also makes her respect you more. She realizes you're not that needy guy who drops everything for her, but someone who values his friendships and commitments. And when you occasionally invite her to meet your friends, this becomes a privilege, not an obligation. She'll make an effort to make a good impression, to be accepted by your circle, to prove she deserves to be there. This entire dynamic reverses the traditional script where the guy is desperate to be accepted into her life, and puts you in the role of selector, not selected. Seventh attitude, always have women around you, friends, cousins, colleagues. Female social proof is the most powerful value indicator that exists. When a woman sees you're constantly surrounded by other women, even if they're just friends, cousins, or colleagues, something primitive activates in her brain. It's the concept of pre-selection in action. If other women choose to be near you, trust you, have fun with you, then you must have valuable qualities she hasn't fully perceived yet. It doesn't matter if they're childhood friends or work colleagues. The constant presence of women around you communicates that you understand the female universe, that it's comfortable and desirable to be near you, that you're not one of those guys women avoid. Each selfie with a female friend, each story where a colleague appears, each mention of a cousin or family friend is a subliminal reminder that you're not alone waiting for her. You're surrounded by options. This reality creates psychological urgency. She knows that if she slips up, one of these women around you might develop interest, or you might develop interest in one of them. Even if you never openly manifest this, the possibility exists, and this possibility keeps her alert. Women are much more competitive with each other than men are with one another when it comes to relationships. Seeing you constantly interacting with other women triggers all her competition instincts. She begins to compare herself to these other women, to wonder what they have that she doesn't, to try to stand out somehow. Meanwhile, you remain naturally social, treating all these women well but without giving excessive special attention to any, including her. This attitude of, I have several women in my life and you're just one of them, is incredibly powerful because it challenges the female ego that expects to be the only one, the special one, the different one. And when she realizes she's not automatically number one, she'll do everything to conquer that position. 8th attitude, pass by her as if she were just another person. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive but most effective attitude of all. When you treat her exactly as you would treat any other person, without special attention, without obvious demonstrations of interest, without that look that betrays attraction, you completely break the pattern she's used to. Attractive women spend their entire lives being treated specially by men. They receive looks, unsolicited compliments, favors, constant attention. When you simply pass by her as if she were any person, without showing any particular interest, something strange happens in her brain. She gets confused. Why isn't this guy reacting to me like everyone else does? This confusion quickly turns into curiosity, and curiosity is the first step toward attraction. She begins to question if there's something wrong with her, if you're gay, if you already have a girlfriend, or if you're simply so high value that she doesn't catch your attention. All these interpretations increase your value in her eyes. Passing by her as if she were any person doesn't mean being rude or ignorant. It means simply not treating her like a goddess, not giving that extra attention she receives from everyone. When you meet, you greet normally, chat normally, but you don't orbit around her, don't seek validation, don't try to impress. You treat her exactly as you treat your friend John or your cousin Mary. This calculated indifference creates a vacuum where she expects attention but doesn't receive it. And when she's used to receiving attention and suddenly doesn't receive it from you, she automatically starts seeking it. She'll initiate more conversations, will try to get your attention in subtle ways, will make an effort to be noticed. You've completely reversed the script. Now she's the one making an effort to capture your attention, not the other way around. And when you occasionally give a little attention, a genuine compliment, an unexpected invitation, the impact is devastating because it brutally contrasts with your normal indifference. She'll value each crumb of attention from you much more than she values the constant attention of other men, and this puts her in a position where she's competing for your approval instead of you competing for hers. 9th attitude, have a routine that doesn't revolve around anyone. A solid and structured routine that exists independently of any person is the foundation of a high-value man. When you have defined times to train, work on your projects, study, develop personally and socially, you're communicating through actions that your life has its own purpose. This routine wasn't created to impress anyone, doesn't change because someone appeared or disappeared, and certainly isn't negotiable for female attention. When she realizes you wake up at the same time every day, go to the gym religiously, have your professional commitments, dedicate time to your hobbies and personal projects, all of this without her at the center, she understands she's dealing with a man who doesn't need a relationship to have a complete life. This is extremely attractive because it demonstrates genuine emotional independence. Men without their own routine tend to absorb the woman's life, becoming satellites that orbit around her, and that's suffocating and unattractive. A man with a structured routine is like a moving train. She can board, but the train doesn't stop or change routes because of her. The beauty of having a routine that doesn't revolve around anyone is that it becomes a natural filter. Women who demand constant attention, who want to be the center of the male universe, who need 24/7 validation simply can't deal with a routine-oriented and self-sufficient man. They end up leaving on their own, saving your time. High-value, mature women, on the other hand, deeply respect a man who has structure in his life. When you say, I can't see you today because it's my training day and I have to finish a project, a quality woman will respect that and even admire your discipline. This consistency in routine also creates strategic predictability. She knows you won't drop everything for her, so she needs to plan to be present at the right times. This makes her value each meeting more, each moment together, because she knows you're genuinely taking time from your structured routine to be with her. Not because you have nothing better to do, but because you chose to prioritize that specific moment. This conscious choice has infinitely more value than the desperate availability of someone without their own life. 10th attitude, never ask to get back together. not even as a joke. The moment you ask to get back together, whether serious or as a joke, you've signed your sentence of total devaluation. Asking someone to come back is literally begging for another chance. It's confessing that you need her more than she needs you. It's admitting you don't have better options and are willing to lower yourself to get her back. There's no dignified way to ask someone to come back because the act itself is undignified. High-value men don't chase those who left because they understand a fundamental principle. Relationships work when both parties want to be there, and anything forced is temporary and pathetic. When she leaves and you simply continue your life without drama, without sending drunk messages at dawn, without showing up at her house, without using friends as intermediaries, you're demonstrating something powerful, that you're fine with or without her. This genuine indifference to her departure is the only behavior that has any real chance of making her reconsider, because it completely challenges her expectations of seeing you beg. The psychological dynamic is simple but brutal. She expects you to ask to get back together. All women expect this because most men do exactly that. When you break this pattern and simply do nothing, don't react, don't chase, you create a void where she expected to find her ego inflated by your pain. This void is disturbing. She begins to question, did he never really like me? Does he already have someone else? Did he get over it that fast? These doubts erode her confidence in the decision she made. And the more time passes without you showing signs of wanting to get back together, the more she questions if she made the right choice. Meanwhile, you're genuinely moving forward, building your life, meeting new people, improving as a man. When she finally tries to re-establish contact, and she will try, because your total lack of reaction is disturbing, you'll be in a position of absolute power. You didn't need her, didn't beg, didn't lower yourself. If at that point you decide to give a chance, it will be because you chose to, not because she allowed it. And if you decide it's not worth it, you simply continue on your way without looking back. Both options are dignified, unlike asking to get back together, which never is. 11th attitude, never show desperation, not even for a second. Desperation is attraction repellent. No matter how much you're suffering internally, no matter how much you're missing her or wanting to talk to her, showing desperation is pressing the self-destruct button on any chance you had. Desperation communicates mental scarcity, low value, and lack of options. When you demonstrate desperation, you're saying, I have nobody else, I can't get anyone better, you're my only chance at happiness. This is so unattractive that it instantly kills any remnant of interest she might have had. Women are biologically programmed to detect male desperation and flee from it because desperation indicates low social position, lack of resources, and weak genes that shouldn't be passed on. It may seem cruel to put it this way, but it's evolutionary truth. Females of all species avoid desperate males because desperation indicates that male isn't anyone else's choice. In the modern human context, this translates to zero attraction. Controlling desperation isn't about pretending you don't care when you do care. It's about having enough emotional structure to not let your feelings dictate your actions. You can be suffering, you can be missing her, you can be sad, but these emotions stay in the private domain. Publicly, in interactions with her, on social media, with mutual friends, you maintain the composure of a man who's fine. You don't post sad songs, don't stalk her profile, don't send long texts at dawn, don't keep asking friends about her. You simply live your life with dignity, processing your emotions in a mature and private way. This emotional containment is incredibly attractive because it demonstrates control, maturity, and strength of character. When she inevitably finds out through third parties that you're fine, that you're not desperate, that you're not destroyed by her absence, this deeply affects the female psyche. She expected to see you crawling, and instead she sees you standing, walking forward. This image of a man who doesn't break when she leaves is infinitely more powerful than any desperate plea could be. If there's any chance of her really begging for you to come back, it's only if you never show you need that. If this video made sense to you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment, gratitude. This helps the algorithm spread this message to other men who need to know the teachings of our channel. Each interaction strengthens this mission to open eyes and rescue male self-esteem. Thank you for being here. Keep following, because every week we bring reflections and tools to help you regain emotional control and become your best version. Big hug, and and see you in the next video.